Tonight, on the Pay-Per-Review Wrestling Podcast, Mark discusses his 5 best matches of 2016. We're all talking about it here on the Pay-Per-Review Wrestling Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? It's Mark here with the end-all, be-all 2016 top 5 best wrestling matches of 2016 Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast episode. I want to thank you guys for helping me out with another great year of going strong with this wrestling podcast. It's going to go almost about 2 a year, as I've been doing this for quite a little bit. I think I'm on my 45th, 46th episode with Pay-Per-Review. I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, because I enjoy professional wrestling so much so that it is really a majority, like a strong part of my life. It's gotten me out of some very depressing couple of months where I didn't have anything to identify myself with as far as being confident or as far as being the man I know I can be, because the man you see today isn't the man who started this wrestling podcast. I needed an outlet to express myself, and I needed to not bottle it in anymore. So I did what I did best and run my yap, and I did it with 2 different shows, not including this one, and we're about 100 plus episodes deep with all 3 combined. I want to thank you guys for hearing me out, giving me opinions, etc., etc. I want to give you guys my top 5 best wrestling matches of 2016, but before we go into that, let's go into our commercial spot here on the Pay-Per-Review Wrestling Podcast. Hello, this is Mark Flores from the Mark F Podcast channel, here to let you know that this podcast episode is brought to you by Game Swappers. Come on down to Game Swappers, located at 4520 Holt Boulevard in Montclair, California, to buy, sell, and trade your current and retro video games from Nintendo Entertainment System to the PS4. Keep in mind that if you share any one of my podcast episodes through any form of social media, you'll get 10% off your entire purchase, or you'll get 10% more towards your retro game trade-ins. Follow Game Swappers on Instagram at GAMESWAPPERS. That's GAMESWAPPERS. Game Swappers. Buy, sell, and trade. Before we get into the top 5 here, the top 5 wrestling matches of 2016, I want to add a quick disclaimer. I didn't see all of the matches that could ever possibly been performed in the calendar year 2016. This is all done. This has all been examined through my own personal experience of watching these matches. I've watched a lot of wrestling in year 2016, more so than I did in year 2015. And I realize I have been depriving myself, especially in the nether regions of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Evolve, PWG, Lucha Underground. I am glad I expanded my horizons far further than that of Ring of Honor and NXT. So, my top 5 wrestling matches goes like this. Number 5, NXT TakeOver Toronto. DIY versus the Revival for the NXT Tag Team titles. This match, in my opinion, was one of the better tag team matches that the Revival had this year. They are an old-fashioned, rough, tough tag team, and their name is granted to them. It's bestowed upon them for the very reason that they are a revival to the tag team division. They are a revival to the older style of wrestling where it was more about slams and hard-nosed punching, and it just reminds you of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, respectively. This match in particular with DIY, with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, in the beginning you have Johnny Gargano and Dash Wilder go at it with some great fast-paced action in the beginning, and another great point to bring out too is that there's great psychology from Johnny Gargano selling the beaten babyface look for the second half of this match. Some great tag matches have some miscommunication within them, and that's a given. You have to remember that there's 4 people that need to communicate with each other within these matches. So, as far as botches and slip-ups go, there is a little more leeway in a tag match than there is in a singles competition. You have to make sure that your tag partner and the people that you are facing against you and them are in unison to each other. You all have to know where you have to be at. There's a lot of communication going on. So for this match, DIY and the Revival, this match was pretty much going very smoothly. There was very little mistakes. There was just a great, well drawn out performance that took the best out of the Revival and took the best out of DIY. DIY was putting themselves on the mantle for being one of the best tag teams in NXT, not named the Revival, and the Revival were doing what they do best. They were making the babyfaces look good throughout the whole match. Both teams were showing us moves that we've never seen before, especially in this match. There's rarely seen 2-on-1 moves, and then I can reiterate the same point that I brought when I covered TakeOver Toronto, is the move that Dash and Dawson do, where you give either Dash or Dawson gives an uppercut and then it proceeds to a German suplex combination. That move, though both moves have been done separately before, those moves together make it look so effective and it makes it look so unseen before. It's very impressive to watch, especially if you've seen this match for the first time. The first time I saw this match, when I was watching it live on the WWE Network, I was amazed by the fact that you can bring moves that have been done over and over again and put them together in a combination where, wow, this makes it look different. This brings a bigger edge to the tag team spotlight. If they can do these 2 moves together, what other moves can they do? See, the questions keep spreading out as better moves and more advanced moves come around. And they did it here within this match. Tommaso Ciampa's hot tag sequence after the first fall had the crowd going nuts. And the unfortunate thing about the Revival is that since they're a heel tag team, it's hard to go against them. But they're so damn good that you have to give them props from time to time. But the Revival are so embedded into their character that it's like they don't even acknowledge it, but that's what good heels do. Heels will ignore all praises and everything, and they have to get everything they can to gain some heat against the babyfaces. And with this match, it was done very well. You had Dash Wilder tucking at the shorts of Johnny Gargano for trying to get the 3rd fall. You had a bunch of elements going in where fast tags, unseen tags going in and out. This match had it all. And this is why at number 5, NXT TakeOver Toronto, DIY versus the Revival versus the for the NXT Tag Team titles was my number 5 spot. The next match that we have, my number 4 on this countdown, we have NXT TakeOver Dallas. We have Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. This gets the number 4 spot, and it's not going to get any higher than number 4 to some people as well, because the psychology going into this match was a bit confusing. Sami Zayn is a babyface. Shinsuke Nakamura is coming in as a babyface, and none of them have any pre-made feud towards each other. It was more how the announcers like to put it. It was Shinsuke Nakamura coming into Sami Zayn's territory and essentially taking over. Sami Zayn wasn't fond of that, I guess, and that gave him a little bit of edge to be, the one that's kind of a heel in this situation, but it was odd booking, so the psychology within this match isn't really magnified as it should be, as if it were the traditional babyface versus heel. Since it's not done like that, the passion for the feud or the build-up for this match wasn't necessarily taken up to the level that a match with a match with a babyface and a heel would have been. But from what we have, the booking from what we have of this match, we have Sami Zayn coming back from injury, announcing that he's back and he's ready to take on anyone. And then Shinsuke Nakamura is going to make his debut at NXT TakeOver Dallas a day before WrestleMania to face Sami Zayn. When you watch this match, there's a sense of magnetism when you first see it. But when you see it over and over again and you get immersed within this match itself, there's a sense of magnetism that just takes over your body and it makes you like want to see this match through and through. It's like watching a movie that you've seen 100 times on cable television, but due to the fact that you like watching this movie, you'll end up seeing it the whole time and totally disregard whatever you had planned. A lot of points to make within this match. This match started off very slow between the two. There was a lot of figuring out between the two. I see that they've done, but then what major point to bring out is that I compliment Shinsuke Nakamura for debuting, and he's able to tone down his strong style a little bit within the confines of WWE. It's hard to tone down strong style because with the grapples, with the hits and everything, you have to make it look real. You have to make it look like it's shoot maneuvers going into a match. But then you also have to worry about the safety of your opponent, making sure that if you do these moves, you do them so effectively that A, the crowd buys into it, and B, that your opponent is still able to continue the match because you didn't impact them as much or you didn't impact them at all, just making it as safe as possible. It's hard to make strong style look good in the confines of World Wrestling Entertainment. It's a promotion that really frowns upon using some moves that are really hard to make safe. You know, there's always a lot of liberty, but it's just hard to do that. But going back into this match, I loved it. I loved the fact that the crowd was torn between Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn. And also, like, another compliment to the psychology within the match, not necessarily outside the match, but Sami Zayn adopted some strong style maneuvers of his own while the match was going on, essentially growing in the ring as the match went on. So if it's sort of like an Easter egg when you see this match, because then you see Sami Zayn take his moveset and mimicking the same moveset of Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, from a ring psychology standpoint, that's great because you have the babyface in the match growing within the match itself, essentially finding other ways outside of his moveset to take down his opponent, to try to pin his opponent. It's great stuff to see. And if you catch on to it as a wrestling fan, it is a very good treat for you because then you get to see something that not a lot of people tend to catch on to. And that's why I explain it similar to that of an Easter egg as well. All in all, this match had Shinsuke Nakamura winning his debut. This essentially took then Sami Zayn to WrestleMania to contend for the Intercontinental title during the Intercontinental title ladder match, which was also a nominee for Match of the Year. But I was a little more fond of the single and tag matches going into the year of 2016, and it really went into a fever pitch going in forward. So number 4, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura at TakeOver Dallas is my number 4 for greatest matches of 2016. Number 3, TakeOver, The End. American Alpha versus Dash and Dawson, The Revival. To me, this match gets put over DIY because of one thing, is that both of these tag teams, American Alpha and Dash, the Revival, both of them had an objective. American Alpha had to get over with the fans. Everyone knows that they are inexperienced. but this is one of the greatest risk slash rewards of our time in the terms of NXT. And you have the Revival, who have to do two things. They have to perform to the best of their ability, and they have to make sure that they gather enough heat within this match to make sure that American Alpha gets over with the fans. This isn't saying that American Alpha wasn't over with the fans to begin with, but we want to make sure that due to that, since they're at a takeover, since these are for the titles, and we need to make sure that American Alpha looks good, Dash and Dawson, the Revival, need to make sure that this match gets upwards to the 4.5 5-star match category. And they did it. There was a lot more riding onto this match than DIY was. I think that it was either DIY winning the titles and the Revival going to WWE soon enough, or they were going to fend one more time for the titles. There was going to be a lot of more benefits going for DIY or the Revival had they either lost or won. You know, there was a lot more. There was a lot less riding on for them and that at that instance. But at this instance here, where you have Dash and Dawson, there's a lot more riding on this. What this match also did, not only for the Revival and American Alpha, but it also had a great reputation. It also gave a great reputation for the tag titles. The NXT tag titles were in calendar year 2015. I don't think the NXT tag team titles were really praised as much as they were now. We all knew that Blake and Murphy had them for a while. The Vaudevillains, the Ascension had them, and these are gimmicks that really were more gimmick than actual people wrestling within them. There's no disrespect going to the Vaudevillains or the Ascension or even Blake and Murphy, but with the talent roster that the tag team division has now in NXT, there's a lot more reputation going on for these guys now. It's a lot more exciting to see these guys versus what we had back then, because we've seen the Vaudevillains, the Ascension, and Blake and Murphy wrestle 100,000 times, but now we had it mixed up here with Dash and Dawson and American Alpha. Little details of this match, I think went to the wayside, but there's this one sequence where Dash and Dawson try to give a suplex to Chad Gable, but then Jason Jordan saves him from it, and they were able to then, American Alpha was able to then give them a double suplex instead. There's a lot that can go wrong in that instance, but they made it look so smooth that it kind of felt like it happened for real. And that's the best part about it. And so you have the momentum building up after this point, and you had Chad Gable finally giving the hot tag to Jason Jordan, and then he just goes off the rocker, and then this is probably the one instance when American Alpha wins. This is probably the one time where the Revival, this is the first time that the Revival get one-upped in terms of storyline, but they do get one-upped in terms of the Revival being so good that they put American Alpha over to even past the stadium roof, and American Alpha doing such a good job that it was very, very convincing that they earned those titles that night. And that's why this match in particular, American Alpha versus Dash and Dawson, was very... I enjoy seeing this match, and I would like to see it over and over again. And it was a lot better to me than DIY and the Revival was, because there was a lot less riding on in terms of DIY and the Revival versus American Alpha versus Dash and Dawson. American Alpha went on to lose the titles at the preceding takeover event, and then they went on to SmackDown Live. Dash and Dawson, to me, since they do hold since they are in the tag team runnings at NXT, I assume that they may lose it out one more time and then debut on the main roster. Just because they're just too damn good to be stuck within NXT. They need to be on television for a long time coming. Number 2 on my 5 greatest matches of 2016, I have Wrestle Kingdom 10 from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I have AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, this match happened in January, and this match kicked off the year in 2016 in a grand fashion. This was a black and white version of Strong Style personified. For I'd say about 75% of this match, we're talking knee strikes, we're talking arm bars, reversals, calf crushers, strikes to the face with the kicks. Both were true to their personas, and both were embracing the psychology within the match. The tension within this match was so dense. You can literally hear people individually call out Shinsuke Nakamura or AJ Styles' name. Everyone within that arena was dead quiet for a majority of the match, except for the random people trying to yell out the individuals' names. Shinsuke Nakamura was in as the babyface, and he held the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and AJ Styles, the head of the Bullet Club at the time, for one of the hottest factions going on 2015 and 16, was trying to get that IWGP belt. AJ's arsenal was both vengeful and fully emoted. He fully emoted the heel aura. He walked around cocky. It's just taunts, a bunch of stuff that went into this match that made you feel like, wow, this is a high tier UFC style match where two guys that really just naturally hate each other go at it for the title. I love watching this match. I know it's hard to find a good copy of it to watch online, but I was able to find one, and wow, this match is very incredible. I was able to get English commentary from, I think it was Matt Stryker calling the action, but wow, it was great stuff to watch. Now, in terms of the psychology of this match, you had Shinsuke Nakamura, like I mentioned, was the heavyweight champion at the time, and then AJ Styles was head of the Bullet Club. Now, let me explain something to you that I want to really give a compliment to the psychology of this match because of this. With AJ Styles being an over heel, and his stable, the Bullet Club, is especially over, almost as over as he is, it's hard to get heat during a match when the Bullet Club is kind of like the NWO, where you like to cheer for the bad guys. But AJ did a great job making you hate him within this match. I mean, there was a lot of maneuvers where AJ Styles would fake a back injury because he was milking a back injury earlier those following months. And Shinsuke Nakamura gives him time in the corner to relax, but then AJ instantly gets up when Shinsuke Nakamura has his back turned, and he was able to strike him. Getting a lot of boos and jeers from the crowd, but it's good to get heat like that. It's good to take the identity of people. It's good to take the idea of people cheering for you if you're a heel, to then cheering for the babyface, because now they just freaking despise you. Now this whole match, it's important for the ring psychology, from a ring psychology standpoint, for you to make sure that if you are a heel, you have to be hated no matter what. You have to do heel-like things. It's just what you have to do. And you know what? In with AJ Styles, what a perfect partner to dance with in the squared circle than that of Shinsuke Nakamura, who at the time was a babyface. Now, another compliment to the psychology of this match. There wasn't a lot of flashy moves from AJ Styles, but that's a good thing to point out too, because it adds to the point that I said earlier. Besides the springboard forearm and a 450 splash, there wasn't many high-flying moves that AJ Styles is accused of doing on a regular basis. There's also a great sequence of when AJ Styles had Shinsuke Nakamura in the calf crusher. Shinsuke was then able to reverse that into an armbar. Moves that you don't really see in WWE, you were able to see here at the Wrestle Kingdom 10. You had a Bloody Sunday suplex, which is basically halfway towards a brainbuster and a regular suplex, but then you land on the head. It makes it look good. The Bloody Sunday suplex is teetering on the safe and unsafe moves. Done well, it will be safe. Not done well, you have you have a good stinger on the back of your neck. It's rough to see, but seeing it sold well gives it all the more effect. At the end of nearing the end of the match, Shinsuke Nakamura gives AJ Styles a knee to the back of the head, and then he also gives his finisher, which to us is called the King Sasha, to the face of AJ Styles, and then he gets the win. He was able to retain the title, and then so in January, after this match is done, now you had AJ Styles going to the Royal Rumble and debuting and possibly getting one of the biggest pops for the debut on the Royal Rumble in Royal Rumble history. This match is number 2 to me. I think that the psychology within the match was done well. If you look at this match and you see the points that I'm talking about, you'll have a better liking for this match. I can promise you that. Now, before I go into the number 1 match of 2016, I want to explain a few pointers out for this one, and a little disclaimer that I mentioned earlier this day. This countdown is not reflective of anyone else but my own opinion, and these are the only the matches that I've saw throughout the year of 2016. So, if there's any issues, feel free to email me, send me a tweet, Instagram, whatever. But if you want to have a healthy discussion discussing all of these matches, I am more than game. Simply because that these matches to me are great theater, and that's what I look for when I see these matches is the theatrics. Is the heel doing what he has to do to be hated to the crowd? Is the babyface doing what he has to do to make it look like he's never going to win the title, or so on and so forth? So there's a lot of factors, and these matches that I've explained before I get to my number 1 have fully explained that. Number 1, Will Ospreay versus Ricochet. Day 6, Super Juniors Tournament, New Japan Pro Wrestling. To me, this is the number 1 match of 2016 in terms of popularity, in terms of notoriety, in terms of infamy, how many ways that this match can be debated. But this match had people talking. This match was great to see, despite of the issues that some people have with it. This match struck new life within me when I saw it, and it made me appreciate the independent scene a lot more, because you get to see these guys do what they have to do without a lot less restrictions than they would have if they were tied to a major promotion, to that of TNA, to that of WWE, etc. Now, let's get into this match here. Youth potential, high flying, wrestling's future is the best way I can describe it in one sentence. Will Ospreay was starting the year, still working a full-time job, and getting invited to go to different places to wrestle for the weekend. Now, keep in mind that this guy was pretty much unsung during the year 2015, but 2016 he made an impression so tremendously well that he has given himself the title. Not himself in particular, but he's earned the title Best Wrestler of 2016 that's not named AJ Styles. And I don't hesitate to call him that, because he has been wrestling for a lot of promotions here, there, everywhere. He has been a Rolling Stone. And he is not a one-hit wonder in terms of having just one good match. He has tons of good matches. He's had great matches with Martin Kirby, another match with Ricochet at Evolve. He's had a lot of great matches, even post the Super Junior tournament. Even before that too, but this one put him and Ricochet back on the map. This match had one person winning the match, and that was Will Ospreay. But yet, both of these guys get critical acclaim for such a great match. And that's what you want to do with wrestling. You want people to get over, despite a loss. That's what you want to do. And a lot of people think that one guy has to get over and the other has a soiled reputation after that. But if booked well, if done well, both people within a match can get over one way or another, even as a heel or a babyface. This match, Will Ospreay and Ricochet, these guys had a great match from start to finish. Both of these guys had aerial high-flying maneuvers that you would have to watch 10 other matches combined to see the amount of what they did within one match. These guys literally tore the house down within the confines of a small gymnasium in Japan, and it was beautiful to see. I was watching the highlights. I remember seeing a 15-second highlight reel, and looking back at it, I was like, yeah, I have to see this match in its entirety. I have to see it. And then going later on to the house, and then I see it, and then I watch it like 3 or 4 more times, and I'm like, wow, this match is incredible. I had to. It took everyone by storm. It took podcast personalities. It took a lot of ex-wrestlers, current wrestlers. It took them to a lot of places of negativity, positivity, just discussions like, oh, this match looked too choreographed, or, well, wrestling is always choreographed anyway, so, but it was done really well. There wasn't as many botches as you would get if someone just called it on the spot. This match had everyone going any which way direction. You could say whatever you want about the choreography, but this match was extremely close to being perfect, minus a few missteps and a few botches. But this match had the accelerator on all the time. There was no stopping in this match. There was very little breaks. I love this match, and I love watching it, and it gave me a new spark for wrestling in the middle of, I think it was May. I think it was May or June that this match came out. And I knew it then. I knew it was going to be one of the top 5. But then I look back and I'm just thinking of all the factors that it did. It boosted up Will Ospreay's reputation, and it helped Ricochet out a lot. It brought a lot of people back to watching wrestling. You know, it did a lot more, despite what everyone wants to say about the choreography or whatever. But it did more good than harm to see this match and to enjoy this match. And that's what I liked about it. I love the fact that this got people out of not watching wrestling anymore, and that's what you have to do. These guys did a match so well that it got so much notoriety that it got people from the outside world looking in on this match. That's hard to do, ladies and gentlemen. That is very hard to do. These other 4 matches barely did that. But this match took everyone by storm. It was trending all over the place. This was always already being talked about match of the year. But to me, in my opinion, I think that Will Ospreay, Ricochet, for the Super Juniors tournament and the New Japan Pro Wrestling Day 6 is the best match of 2016. I want to thank you guys for hearing me out here on the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast for year 2016. We shared a lot of opinions, shared a lot of conversations, and mainly what I want to get across, again, I want to thank you guys for listening. Do whatever you want about sharing the show, mentioning it to somebody, letting them hear it. It really would help me a lot. And like I told you guys before, I appreciate anyone and everyone that listens to either to this show, to my other 2 shows on the Mark F. Podcast channel. I work really hard to make sure that these podcasts are done to the best of my ability. And for any critiques, comments, concerns, you feel free to email me, or feel free to contact me on Instagram at Mark F's Modern Life, or on Twitter at Mark F's Podcast. Feel free to let me know, and we'll have a conversation about it. You guys have a good night. Take care of yourselves.